What's up, everybody? Another episode of Ripple Effect Podcast. Today we got Renato Lindmets, one of my best friends and also a professional basketball player. I haven't seen him in quite a bit, and he was in town, and I was excited to catch up, and I figured why not do a podcast, talk about his experiences overseas, playing in different countries and playing professional basketball and all that stuff. The only unfortunate part was most of that conversation got cut because what ended up happening was that we were drinking, catching up, talking, and we didn't pick up on the fact that the audio stopped recording. So the software, for some reason, just stopped recording. It was very unusual because I haven't had any issues like that in quite a bit, especially with my new computer and new setup and stuff. And everything's been working really flawlessly. So we heard something, but I assumed that it wasn't anything serious because I haven't had any issues. But so the first, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, something got cut out, and then by the time we picked up on it, we started recording. We're already feeling pretty good. So it's kind of, if it sounds like we're buzzed, it's because we are. And it's not the most serious of podcasts. It's a silly, fun podcast, which I really enjoy doing, and we just had a blast doing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the humor and some of our silliness. And if you want to learn something, you probably want to go to the next show. But if you want to hear just two friends catching up and sharing stories and you know, probably just something that's just funny, then keep listening. And I apologize for the you know, cutting out the conversation, but hopefully we'll have him on again. We'll definitely have to Skype him in again, and we'll do a little bit more of a serious conversation and get more in depth with his overseas career of playing basketball. So enjoy the show. I really appreciate everybody who's been listening, everybody who's been supporting the show. If you have an iPhone, find our podcast on iTunes. If you have an Android, every podcast app you can think of that's available for any cell phone, you can find the Ripple Effect Podcast. Downloaded podcasts are free. Most of them are unedited like mine and uncut, and you get to see real sides of people. So if you have an Android, I recommend Podcast Addict, awesome app, just really well designed and great look and great feel and easy to use. So definitely check that out, and you get something different. You get something that's a real conversation and capture real people talking and not you know, a bunch of censored stuff. And so I think that's what people really enjoy from podcasts. And I have a bunch of really awesome guests lined up, so look out for that. I'm gonna keep trying to bring shows as often as I can. Obviously, working a day job, it's really hard to find energy and time at times to keep this going as often as I'd like, but I'm going to do my best. And I really truly appreciate everybody who takes any time out of their day to listen to the show, support the show, retweet the show, like the show, share the show, talk to friends about the show. I just really appreciate it because I think we really all can make a difference, sharing open-mindedness and different ideas and trying to just, I guess, do our little part of sparking thought and conversation. So I hope I'm doing my part, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. And you know, I really do feel a sense of fulfillment doing the show. So like I said, I'm going to continue doing it. And so enjoy the show, and peace.
In the Ripple Effect.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of Ripple Effect Podcast. Today we got a really special show. I got my buddy Renato, who's in town from Europe. He's been, the last 3 years, he's been in Europe playing basketball, playing in Estonia, Portugal, Iceland. He's been all over the place. So he's in town, so I figured why not fucking get an episode in. And I love these episodes with my friends because the cool thing is that, you know, we're comfortable. We can bullshit, we can talk about whatever and go wherever the conversation goes. And as much as I tell myself when I have a guest on, just to be myself and let my character come out, it's hard when you're having a conversation with somebody who's well-spoken not to also try to be well-spoken. And I think the idea that you're being recorded and thousands of people might download this shit definitely affects the way you talk. Sometimes you try to come off a little bit more not intelligent, but you don't want to sound quite as dumb as you're usually sound, I guess. So but let's get right back to it. We did a episode yesterday with Mike Adams from naturalnews.com. I think I'm almost positive I'll probably release that episode before I release this one. So definitely check out for that. The cool thing is that I think this is my 3rd episode in about 7 or 8 days or something, which is awesome because with the work season being crazy, it's definitely harder to get these episodes out. But enough of that. First, I just want to thank Renato for being with me today. I think it's awesome that we'll be able to talk about everything and anything together, from sports to politics to social issues to just personal ideas and stories. So thanks, Nato, for being with me and doing this shit for me.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's fucking great to be back. You fucking really did it.
He's the wine kicking in already.
I can't believe. Yeah, wine. This is fucking Ricky.
Yeah,
wine
we're
here.
drinking for anybody who watches
insane.
this on YouTube. We're drinking. This is the first year I made some homemade wine. Kept trying to keep the tradition alive that my father and grandfather and everybody's been doing for a long time. So basically, just my dad talked me into making some more to keep it up and make wine this year. And I think the beautiful thing about making wine isn't so much just the wine itself, but it's the idea of
it's the see the effects of the drunk guy on your couch drinking it and slurring his words.
Yeah, I think it's the social part of it. Like, I remember growing up and seeing my father with his friends. Like, they would get around, they would squish the grapes, they would hang out and just talk and conversate while they're drinking and while they're enjoying each other's company. And there's something about community and friendship and family and stuff that you come together with experiences like that, because that's what life's really about. It's not about material things, it's not about money, but it's about experiences. I mean, that's the shit you remember. Like, if anybody who has a niece or daughter, or anybody, a kid in their lives, like, you realize that they don't really bring up things you bought them in the past as much as they bring up things you did with them. And even you look at your childhood, like, what do you remember? You remember I don't know, I'll find out later, but
fuck it.
all right, okay, back to
what
the
Vagine?
fuck, dude. You know what it was? That noise might have been that early.
Oh wow, is that when we got cut off?
We might have to. We'll just start where we are.
Backtrack.
First of all, the other shit is about foreign policy. Who wants to listen to that shit?
Let's talk about girls.
Let's talk about girls. Okay, so back to it. Wait, I think the intro got it. I'm gonna have to. You know what I'll do? I'll cut the video audio and I'll have to put it in this. Whatever. I'll figure it out later. But anyways, back to where were we? So we're drinking wine with Renato from Estonia, Portugal, everywhere else he went from. He traveled the fucking world, and he's gonna tell us which girls like anal. Take it away.
All right. So as I was saying, you go to the club in the States. There's 2 to 4 usually super hot top model type girls in the club that are very hard to get. Sometimes you're lucky, you might get one. I've been that lucky man a few times. I'm sure Rick has been also in the past when he was single.
Allegedly.
No proof. Anyways, compare that to Estonia or Iceland. There's always 5 to 10 of those in the club. So the competition it's much different than here. It's so much easier to get them. They're not stuck up. They're not, because there's so many of them. So it's not like they're going to just be like, oh, whatever. I'm looking for the best guy in here. There's so many of those in there. So it's like, if you don't take this one, they're just going to move on to the next one. They don't care. So with that being said, back to your point about which girls are easier
or friendlier
or friendlier. Sorry.
I did not say easier.
Jeez.
I am a taken man.
Wine,
I am not looking for which country to travel with my friends and tell my girlfriend. I just heard the people there were friendly. Looking for the sluts of
friendlier.
the world.
So initially, just to if you're just going up, you're much better off in Iceland or Estonia or Latvia or Lithuania, Finland, Sweden. But if you're talking, say you're at a party, you're at a house party with a bunch of people, and you get introduced to certain girls and stuff like that. You're not at a club. Say you're in Portugal and it's during, say it's during some bullfight or something like that, and you got this giant house party going on, and you meet people. Then it's so easy. It's like you get introduced, and it's like your family.
Well, the thing is about being introduced. It's almost like when a girl meets you through a friend, all of a sudden, like, their guard goes down. It's like, oh, okay, you like this person just gave you credibility. Like, if you're friends with Tom, I like Tom.
Yeah.
Tom's cool as shit, so you must be cool as shit.
Yeah.
When you could be like a rapist who just got out of jail.
I'll give you a perfect example how Portuguese people are so much more friendlier, warmer than Eastern European.
That's always been our culture.
Yeah. Well, I'll just give you. Well, like I was saying, like if you just go up to a Portuguese girl in the club and just try to go at her, she's gonna look at you like you're crazy.
Like if you come off too aggressive.
If you get introduced at a party, you know what the first thing she's gonna do? To you? She's gonna give you 2 kisses on the cheek.
Yeah, that's what we say.
And she's gonna boom. In Estonia, it's gonna be like, oh hi, and leave you alone. And then it's up to you. But in Portugal, it's like they're gonna give you a hug and a kiss first, and give you food and talk to you, and then it's all good once you get introduced. So it's different ways of getting in, and then it's up to you. So
the first initial steps are different.
Yeah, exactly.
So how you approach them is a little different. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So that's a skill you learned from being.
Yeah, I had to adapt.
Which have you? One thing I've always said, and let me know if this is true, that every country has gorgeous girls. It's hard to pick one.
Of course.
Every country has gorgeous girls.
Every country has its ups and its downs. You know, it's got the...
Because I love Eastern Europe. I mean, allegedly, I know people who like Eastern European girls. My girlfriend's not Eastern European, so I'm not going to say how much I like Eastern European girls. But
if you like tall, blonde, and thin,
that sounds awful. That must be a really.
Then you should go there.
That must be a really rare dude. Yeah, that's If you don't like that, then you're probably protesting for gay marriage.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
But if not that there's anything wrong with gays. Gays, I hope you guys like this podcast. We're very pro gay here.
Damn homosexuals.
But yeah, I mean, there's every country has beautiful women. Like I've met so many different cultures, but there is something about an accent, even an English accent from like the UK. Like
sexy.
That's a turn. It's like you're speaking the same language I speak, but I speak Portuguese at home, and I still get turned on by meeting other Portuguese women who speak Portuguese. Like if I meet a girl who's from Portugal and she speaks Portuguese, it's a fucking turn on.
Yeah,
and
especially if that's her first language. You know?
Yeah, well, that's my point. Yeah, if it's their first language, if it's not their first language and they speak Portuguese like me, which is fucking not
like,
great.
Get the hell out of my face.
Yeah, get out of my face. You sound like me. I don't want to fuck me. You know. But actually not. It's Rogan said this thing once, and it's so true because it just reminded me of it because of what I said. You know how you get dudes who are always like they want that hottest chick, but they look like shit, and you're just like, dude, would you fuck you? Because would you fuck you? Because basically if you want a girl who's in shape and takes care of herself, maybe you should be in shape and take care of yourself. And dude, true. We all have friends like that. Dudes who are always like, yeah, she's not hot. Like, no. And I'm like, dude, have you looked in the mirror, man? She's right in your league. That's your league. Like, what you think your league is and what your league is are two different things. Don't get me wrong. Girls are way less shallow than dudes when it comes down to looks.
Well, I don't want to throw any names out, but I'm just going back into our
group of friends,
and our child's life growing up, and the stuff we have discussed. But anyways, I just had a quick memory lane thing. But go ahead, go back to what you're saying.
So you're thinking of somebody that specifically, dude. We all know people like that. It's just the thing is that like if you know, there's a reason why you see a fat dude with a fat chick because that's like her. Unless you're a fat white chick because then you have options. Ooh. You can either get a dude
in America. You do,
yeah, not in Europe, but
in America,
in America,
not in Europe,
you can either have like
Europe. You're going to be lonely and sad.
Yeah.
Or with another fat ass.
In America, you can have Ralphie May, or you can have LL Cool J.
He lost a lot of weight last time I seen him.
Okay, maybe he looks good now. I don't know. He might be like Carrot Top.
Went
he might
on
be
the
on the
Subway diet.
And then you have fucking LL Cool J. Like fat black girls have like two options. They can either get an ugly white dude or a good-looking black dude. So it just they have options. They do. They they can be out of their league as long as it's a different race. But
it's funny how that goes here.
Yeah, it is. It is. But
in Europe, it's like if you're ugly, that means you're ugly.
Doesn't matter what race you are.
That means you're fat. First doesn't matter what race you are.
Okay, you've been away for like 3 years now, traveling, playing basketball. Now that you come to U.S., did you forget how fat America was?
I did.
And is it stunning?
And I forgot how fat the asses were here. Like I
was
in New York.
Is that a good thing? Are you saying it's a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing when it's a good thing when you haven't seen it in a long time.
So are you saying European girls don't have asses?
Well, it's just like, you always
Not
want
as
what
much.
you can't get,
Yeah.
So I'm used to European culture, European bodies, and everybody's thin and in shape. And after 3 years, you wanna smack a fat ass,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And you come here and you're like, holy shit, look at this, And after a while, you're gonna be like, look at these fat fucking bitches.
Did you go around New York just smacking fat asses?
I was just smacking them, just hey, whatever. But it's funny how that goes, because obviously if I just stayed here for a few years and I go back to Europe, then I'm gonna be like, wow, look at all these girls, they're in great shape, But
you do always want what you don't have. You have you meet a girl with fake tits, you're wicked excited. Then you want a girl with real tits, and then because they feel like fucking
fences. I mean, the grass is always greener, man.
And that's
what we're talking
that
about.
goes
earlier,
to whatever I don't know if it was even recorded or not. We'll find out later.
It's lost.
It's lost
too
forever.
bad.
But we had some great conversations that we changed the world. We actually saved. I think we came up with a cure for cancer. Saved world hunger.
We did all kinds of crazy shit. You guys missed it.
Decide that OJ was definitely guilty.
Fucking government threw an EMP bomb in here and just cut off all fucking
NSA, leave us alone. Leave us alone, NSA. Stop turning off this shit. I'm putting it up.
We're just talking too much,
Yeah, but what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, so yeah, girls. What else? Europe, dude. How many guys did you dunk on? I'm kidding. That's like something you hear from like the retards who are like, yo, you dunk on anybody? What the fuck is wrong with American basketball? The fact that only thing people give a shit about is dunking and shooting threes. Like, really, that's all you care about? Like, it's that's why you get all these European players, and
nobody cares. You dunk on somebody there, it's like, hurry up and get the fuck back on.
Yeah, get back on defense.
There's no celebration.
Is it really that?
Yeah, it's like, who cares? Nobody cares. Unless it's like super insane, but still, it's not that big of a deal. Like,
well, is it because of Sports Center?
Here, you get dunked on in a game, and it's like, holy shit, man! Dude, is my career over? I don't. There, it's like it's nothing.
Yeah, and then they'll show replays of it 1,000 times. Everybody in the crowd will go crazy. Like, I've seen people at pickleball dunk on somebody, and people will be like, "Oh shit, did you see that?" I'm like, "Yeah, he dunked it. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it counts as 2 points."
Nobody cares.
Like, yeah, it's dunks, not that.
About crossovers, nothing. None of that stuff that matters in America really matters in the States when it comes to basketball.
Now, is that because of the difference in cultures, or is that just because the sport's different there?
Well,
or is that the same fucking
America's
question?
America's like a big fucking hype machine. Hey, we're gonna hype up anything. Well, whatever it is. If it's sports, if it's clothes, if it's music, we're always gonna hype.
Well, it's
up
good for
everything,
business. It's good for business.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, but I'm just saying that's how it is. And in Europe, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, you get dunked on. Who cares? It's like, here, it's like, holy shit, stop the game, run on the fucking court. We still recording?
Yeah, it's recording. It's going fine. I don't know what the fuck happened. That's it's weird because a while ago when I first started doing the podcast, I was running a slower computer, so it struggled like with the camera and recording and everything. And then I had to invest on a fucking computer because I'm like, it was getting more serious, and I had guests on that I was sweating during the episode because I'm like keep looking at the computer. I'm like, yo, did it turn off? Didn't turn off because I'm like, I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose this. And so it was just like, it was too stressful. I'm like, dude, I got to get a computer. And we talked about this, like, following your dreams. Like, even though it's an awful investment, I had doing music, I had a lot of the equipment already, like microphones and headphones and shit like that. No. But I didn't have this many microphones, these stands that you can actually talk into and sit down, more headphones, all that shit. I didn't have all that stuff. So, and the software that I needed to record our Skype calls and all that stuff. Like, it was just a really bad investment when you look at just ones and zeros. But when you look at how happy I am that I'm doing this, and the same thing like we talked about it either on off air or somewhere lost in the NSA files. We talked about following your dreams and just how important it is to do what you love and do what you enjoy and really like just chasing your dreams and the fact that you're going to be able to look back and say, hey, people in your position picked okay, I'm going to give up on this. I'm going to, who knows what I'm going to do in my life. I don't know if I'll ever make enough money or have, but what, that's the other thing I was going to say. Am I ever going to make enough money where I feel successful? But success isn't money. Like, I'm sure you feel fulfillment, and it's not about how much money you made. It's about what you've accomplished on the core.
Exactly.
And what about your friends you made? Look at your experiences, man.
Yeah.
Look at all those great
all
stories.
The people, all the culture. I mean, insane things that I just learned. It just makes you smarter. Just, okay, I get to play basketball, yeah, but I get to travel. I get to meet new people. I get to learn just in general cultures, foods, customs, this, that. It's insane, I mean, I got to go to Portugal. I got to get chased by bulls over there. Like, when the fuck was I ever going to do that in the States? I was running from fucking bulls,
Yeah, in Portugal, that's I remember it's even like insane, growing up how common that was. Like, you get an open field, you get 2 bulls, and then you're basically, the ring is a ring made up of people. And just, you move as the bull moves. And yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Like all kinds of little things, you take for granted, but at the time, but like, it's like, I went to Iceland. I seen, whatever the fuck it's called now, the lights in the sky, the fucking
Iceland.
Yeah,
I don't know shit about Iceland.
Iceland.
I asked you what language they spoke.
It's it's like
we'll go back to that.
Yeah, we'll go back to that. Fuck that.
Fuck those lights.
Fuck.
They weren't even that bright.
They weren't that bright. It's like these green, yellowish lights that appear in the sky, just no reason.
Those are UFOs.
Yeah, fucking UFOs. I seen fucking UFOs because of basketball.
Did you really? Who knows, man? I wouldn't doubt it. Especially being that close to Russia, they probably fucking got some that got away.
Who knows?
Putin's fucking crazy. He was KGB.
Yeah,
he was KGB. That motherfucker ratted out his friends to join the KGB. I remember reading stories about how he wanted to join the KGB, and his way of showing.
Where'd you read the stories?
I'm not gonna say NSA. Stop fucking listening. Listen, if you guys can spy on me, but all you're gonna see is a bunch of whacking off. So just unless you want to see a bunch of weird porn that you're wondering how I get so hard watching, just fucking turn the shit off. It's not that interesting.
Cut it off.
But dude, he would rat out on his friends to prove his loyalty to KGB. Like, that's crazy. I mean, but like, okay, we say that's crazy. No.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
Oh no, we're still on the air.
On.
Fuck you,
still
NSA.
On.
We're still on. We're still on. That was just my screen turn off. That scared me for a second. But what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, but yeah. So he ratted out his friends. But we say that's crazy. But dude, Bush Senior was in the CIA. That's just as crazy. I mean, that's the equivalent of KGB. They're the CIA. So
definitely.
So coming back to America after 3 years. You didn't have to relearn English. English is pretty well spoken over there. Did you see yourself like having to polish it a little bit? Like, did you? I mean, you did say that like now you talk and your first thing that comes out of your mouth sometimes it's an Estonian word.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, my English was never great.
I don't speak any language.
I was always kind of like half and half. And my Estonian was never great. I'm just like an average. I'm an average speaker in a bunch of languages. I'm not great at anything.
So, in other words, you're one step up from monkeys grunting, trying to tell you that they're hungry.
It's just like sucking Estonian. My English,
dude. But
sucks.
You know what's funny? When I get people who correct me, it always drives me crazy because I'm like, even though like sometimes, like a correction isn't that big of a deal, and it helps you like for future references when you try to say something, but like, my point isn't the whole point of language is to get your point across? Like, the whole reason we came up with language is so I could communicate my ideas to you. So, if you're getting your ideas to me and I understand them, isn't that all that matters? Yeah. So, that whole concept of, like, like, who fucking cares what language you speak or whatever, I mean, but English is slowly going to be, like, it's going to be like a one-world fucking language because...
I think so. Yeah,
because the whole, it's almost like every country's teaching it, everybody's learning it, and then but there's something, it's funny because as travel happens more and more, and as travel gets cheaper, there's something I worry about about like people losing their cultures and like losing like, as cultures start mixing and people start mixing, it's like there's something nice about meeting people from different countries and learning about their cultures. But if they start mixing, we start losing that, then I feel like we're losing a part of history. We're losing a part of like a lot of these traditions are very old. And I mean, it's like, I always say this about nationalism. Like, I think nationalism is bullshit. I think that, like, excuse me, to hail to a flag and like basically defend that flag no matter what, I think is crazy, because most of the time those people who represent that flag, or at least the politicians who represent that flag, are don't care anything about that flag. They only care about their own interests.
Of course.
And and I think that's how you convince people to join the military and be, Well, the good thing is I think the French Foreign Legion story didn't get recorded, which means Joe will live and they won't kill him.
You say his name again?
Fuck. Sorry, Joe. I'll take care of your family when you're gone. Don't worry. But there's something about like joining the military that it makes you just blind and not blind, but brainwashes you into believing that you're always fighting for this freedom and whatever. And we talked a little bit about Europe's interpretation of the U.S. and has it gotten better since Bush? What's funny? Obama's not that much different than Bush. If not, I mean, we're literally it's going to go down in history as 8 years of the two worst presidents in history, because you look at it. He said he was going to shut down Gitmo, never did it. The drones, he spent more money on drones than anybody else. He's prosecuted more whistleblowers with the Espionage Act than anybody else. He's gotten so many people. He basically, you put white skin on him, he's a fucking Republican, like white skin and gray hair. I mean, he hasn't done anything he says. And we talked a little bit about this with race. The one thing that's funny is that obviously we both play basketball. I'm professional. You're still trying to work. I'm kidding, but you want to cut? You got to pee? Yeah, we can pee.
I gotta take a fucking leak.
We'll be right back. We are back. Nato had to go take a leak.
Big fucking elephant leak.
We've actually been talking longer than whatever this is recording, so he actually has a stronger bladder than what you guys might assume. It's only because the NSA turned off our recording system. But back to what the fuck we were saying. Yeah, what the fuck were we just talking about? Oh, injuries. Yeah, that's
injuries. Yeah,
you've had a couple, man.
Yeah, I had my meniscus.
Yeah, my brother just had his ACL and meniscus.
Yeah,
that's a long fucking.
Oh, it's no joke. I mean, if
meniscus.
If I drink a beer, my knee will hurt the next day.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if I drink like say 5-6 beers, knee's gonna be fucking throbbing.
Wait. There's a difference between 5 or 6 beers and one.
Yeah.
You're like, if I drink one, if you drink 5 or 6, it might be because you're bumping it against you.
No, it's just it's fine. No, come on, man. I'm European, man. I could drink 30 of those beers.
Is it because it inflames something? It causes inflammation.
Something. I don't know what it has to do with. Maybe the impurities. I don't even know. But like if I just get some vodka, mix it with some juice, drink it all night, get hammered, the next day I'm fine. I drink 12, 15 beers like I did when I first got here in New York. Can't walk the next day.
Really?
Yeah, it's tough. It's weird.
That's really weird.
Really weird, yeah. So hopefully your homemade wine here has me okay tomorrow.
It has some healing powers. According to my dad, it has some healing powers.
It makes you walk better.
Dude, I will say, isn't it crazy how much Europeans drink and how hardworking they are, and like it doesn't affect them at all. It's insane. It's such a part of culture. I mean, like you look at it like the alcohol, the eating. You look at it like in America, people drink because they want to get hammered. People eat because they just have to eat. But in Europe, it's a experience. It's hanging out. It's spending time together. It's really like you communicate. I mean, you look at like these mass shootings, right? That wouldn't happen with a
It's like every week here in America,
dude. It's like, yeah, who's today's mass shooter? Like
what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's just But you look at it like, if you were having family dinners together and your priorities were spending time with your kids and not just like trying to get promoted, then wouldn't like, don't you think you'd pick up on the fact that your kid's super depressed or not getting laid? Dude, that other kid, that one, the one from the first one that started like the spree of them, and the one from California, the Randall something, the kid who had like a BMW and like was pissed because he wasn't getting laid.
Yeah,
you watching those videos?
I was in Europe at the time, obviously, when this happened, but I read about it and I was just like, what? he was like he had money and he just couldn't get laid. And I mean, I don't really know the whole story. I wasn't here for it. But
we talked about if you legalize prostitution.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
He would no, but he probably was fucking crazy anyways. I hate to say that if he could get laid, then the thing is when you saw his videos, right? I saw like a deeper issue because it wasn't just the fact that he was obviously mentally ill, but he kept saying he's like, I don't get it. I have nice glasses. I have a BMW. Like, and he was talking. It like didn't seem.
But
like
that's kind of fucking scary. I mean, how many guys are saying that in the world? Like, or just say in the United States, like
what that?
How many guys are saying like, oh, I look good. I got a BMW. I got a good job.
Why don't girls?
Next thing is like,
me?
bam.
Well, I think with him the big issue was the fact that he thought that, and I don't know if this is media or this is TV, but it's like this whole idea. He was convinced that basically those things are what got you laid. Those things are what got you laid and what girls wanted. But that's not, dude. We've seen plenty of dudes who get girls out of their league because they're charming, because they're funny. The girls are way less shallow than dudes like that. If your buddy has an ugly girlfriend, you won't see her, you won't meet her for years. Yeah. But if he's just talking to a hot chick, he will show you pictures of her immediately. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you want to see her tits? You want to see her naked? But it's like, why? Because she's hot. But if he was dating an ugly chick, you don't hear about her. You don't see her. So it's just like, we care a lot more about like who we spread our seed in. And I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's like the primal monkey in us who still says like we want the best looking kids to keep the bloodline going, or maybe it's just the fact that like guys can't hide like what turns them on. Like you want to show off to the guys a little bit, but you don't see a lot of guys dating, or for example, you don't see a lot of rich old women like Donald Sterling dating young dudes. Why? Because your dick can't lie. It's like those what the fuck? I can't even think right now. This fucking line. That stuff when you get the lie detector test. Fuck, that took a while to get that out. But the lie detector.
See
test.
where this is going, folks.
It's all downhill. But the lie detector test. Like your dick is a lie detector test. Like if I saw this chick with this. That was old and like dying. But I'm like, oh, but she'll buy me a Ferrari and this and that. I couldn't pretend I like her because once we try to hook up, my dick wouldn't get hard and she would know automatic.
No, that's true.
That's and we're like a chick could easily hide how much she's into a dude. Like guys can't fake orgasms. How the fuck girls fake orgasms all the time? Guys can't do that. How the fuck do you fake an orgasm if you're a dude? Like you'd have to put like water gun behind, like tape a little mini water gun underneath your dick and like shoot it. you know,
you're either getting hard or you're not.
Yeah.
Girl either turns you on or she doesn't.
Yeah,
and that's just a fact for guys.
You gotta
Girls, yeah. I mean, girls can fucking play with it and fucking fake it, but yeah, I mean, for guys, it's a whole different problem.
Yeah, it is. How's that cigar?
Dude, this fucking thing's awesome, man. It looks like a giant joint the way it's rolled up.
It does look like a giant joint the way it's rolled up. But yeah, dude, it's so true. So in Europe, a lot. I haven't been there for quite a bit. People still smoke a lot of cigarettes. It's still a big thing, or because in America it's died out quite a bit.
Yes, and like I'll give you a little East Coast West Coast thing. Eastern Europe, Northern Eastern, it's a lot of snooze. Which is
fuck is snooze?
Snooze is
the button I hit when I don't want to wake up in the morning.
It's that too. It's tobacco for your mouth. Little pouches.
Oh, it's like chewing tobacco.
It's like that, but it's made a little different. It's not as bad for you. It's not as. It's not
Who
like
the fuck tells you that it's not as bad for you?
No, I know they've done like tests on this shit.
Yeah, and you do realize like in the 50s, Marlboro had commercials with doctors.
Well, it's made. It's actually like made differently. Like so it's not just tobacco in a pouch, and they say it's different. It's like actually made different, tastes different.
Well, people aren't getting
different effect.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people from Finland, Sweden, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, those countries, they love to use that stuff. Obviously, they love to smoke too. But like if you go down towards Portugal, Spain, those countries, oh man, kids are like 12, they're already smoking.
And it's weird because in America, you notice that it ages people who smoke. Do you see that a lot too in Europe? Like, have you noticed that like it ages the shit out of people?
You know,
dude, you meet a girl in her late 20s, really?
And I don't think it has that much to do with smoking.
I think
I know what you're saying, and I used to think this too.
Maybe it's a combination
but
in America of bad nutrition and
that's
smoking.
What I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot more to do with nutrition. Maybe, obviously, I think smoking has an effect, but like, you know, I know people in Europe smoking forever. They don't look old at all, you know. But and then I get here, and you know, you see people that smoke a lot, and then you know you come back like I just did today, 3 years later, and you're like, damn, the person looks old. But I think it's a major thing with nutrition, and I think that's a big difference between Europe.
Oh yeah,
and America. So
I just had Mike Adams on yesterday from fucking what the fuck is like this wine, Jesus Christ. From naturalnews.com, and we talked a lot about GMOs and stuff like that, and a lot of our foods here are banned. We didn't talk about it yesterday on the podcast.
You can't get them in.
Yeah, you can't get them there. Yeah. Like a lot of our foods, and the quality of food is a huge difference in the way people look, the way people feel. Like you look at like everybody in America like has an issue with energy. Why do you think energy drinks are so popular in the U.S.? Because the fact that we're all fucking tired all the time because we're overworked, we don't get enough vitamins. Nutrition is a big part of like your energy levels. Like I notice when I'm on my multivitamins and I'm taking my glucosamine for my joints, and I'm taking my omega-3s. I just feel better, you know. Yeah. And you know, when you eat cleaner too.
Yeah, I mean, like if you eat good, you shouldn't have to take all that stuff.
Well,
but
I think
like you could get all that stuff from your
foods. They come from foods.
But the thing is, now all your foods are so fucking fake. You're not getting all that.
It looks like chicken. Yeah. It might smell like chicken, but it's not fucking chicken.
Yeah. So you're not getting, you know, those what do you call them? Your vitamins and minerals and all that shit.
Vitamins is the word that you struggled with?
Dude, I'm telling you, this wine is, you know, I normally speak a little bit better, but this Ricky's homemade brew here.
We did a 3 grape blend. My dad usually does like 5, but I did a 3 grape blend. It was the first time making wine.
Yeah, I don't taste any grapes.
It's good. It was like Pinot Noir, Shiraz, and Cab combined. And I watched this really good documentary called Somm. I don't know if you know what a Somm is. I didn't know really what it was until I watched this documentary. And it's a test that originated in Europe, and you get this certificate, and you basically are an official wine expert when you get this certificate. And it's on Netflix. Look for it. It's really interesting. And this the first guy to pass it the first time this test was American, and then in England, and then he brought it to the US and he continued the test. And this test makes you a wine expert. One of the things you have to do, besides you literally have to learn all the languages that all the wine countries, Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian, and you have to learn all those languages, and then you also have to. The hardest part of the test, which was really intriguing, is that you have to taste 3 reds and 3 whites, know the year, the type, and what region it's from.
Jeez.
It's fucking crazy, and the crazy
to become a fucking
to get the certificate. But if you get this,
how many people have this fucking certificate?
Not many people pass. But the thing is, if you get the certificate, you automatically it's like your golden ticket to a career in food and wine.
That's insane.
Because what happens is that when people pass this test, what happens is that you end up getting a job at a 5-star restaurant, like the nicest restaurant in the States, or some really high-end wine company will hire you to help taste their wines and like help tweak them and stuff. So it's like these guys literally tested. They would a group of them were trying to pass together. They would get together at each other's houses late at night. And they would Skype with each other, do flashcards. They would get together and try wines, and they would just pour whatever. And you'd have to know the country it's from, the region of that country, and the year and type. That's fucking crazy. And but it was really intriguing. But the thing is, you learn about wine is I mean, obviously there's a lot of history behind wine. And I don't want to fucking bore people with wine talk, but it's just like smoking cigars, like we're doing right now. Like the thing I like about wine and cigars is the conversation. It seems like you have the people who say smoking and alcohol doesn't do any good in the world is full of shit. Because I've had some of my best conversations and have connected with friends, and some of our best stories have been over drinking and smoking. So it's just like and isn't that what life is about? Experiences.
I mean, most music is made that way.
Yeah, I mean that's like the Bill Hicks joke. If you don't think that drugs did any good, he's like, go home and burn all your fucking albums, burn all your CDs, burn everything, because he's like, guess what? They're all really fucked up, you know. And it's true, especially like not so much now, but like you look at like the '60s, you look at you know, the '50s, and you know, so people,
I mean, all of the hip hop culture right now, everybody's smoking
weed.
something.
Yeah, they're smoking weed,
drinking something.
That's racist.
That's so racist, but it's true, you know.
You know, I heard that story. That's why the NBA doesn't do a drug test. They don't do random drug tests for weed because they say that all the guys smoke weed. You know, but you know what? It's funny because it's like this goes back to the race thing. If you say, I wonder, you know, we have obviously a lot of black friends from playing basketball. I'm not sure saying black people smoke weed is really like a racist thing. Like a lot of like stereotypical things, there's some truth to them. You know, like Europeans drink a lot. Like if you say Portuguese people drink a lot, we do. Like
that's
that's
like
not
saying Estonians like vodka. Like they like to drink vodka. That's not racist.
like
That's
Jews-
just what they like to fucking drink. You know?
or like Jews are cheap. Not all Jews are cheap, but the point is that like most of them do. You know, they're not big. Reckless spenders,
Right,
you know.
yeah.
So it's not, you know. There's always a little bit of truth to it, you know. And you know, this all goes to like what we're talking about, like trying to be too politically correct. Like I feel like if your intentions are, you know, it's like the Donald Sterling thing. The motherfucker was born in the '30s when the white people use the N-word all the time, and this guy, like literally, you got a personal conversation with this dude, and he didn't use the N-word. Personally, I don't think it's that bad. Like, okay, is he a scumbag? Yeah, but dude. Everybody was taking money from him when Elgin Baylor sued him, when he got sued because he wasn't renting out to minorities, like, and he was just renting out to Jews his apartments he has. So like, dude, he obviously is a racist scumbag. Yeah. But like to act like, you know, did you see the press conference? They acted like they just like passed like the, you know, some crazy fucking law to help, you know, racism in the world. They didn't do shit. Like they just basically forced a really old white dude to.
And who forced all this shit? People probably behind the whole, you know, thing going against them, they're all probably racist too. You know, they're just they're just trying to say, "Hey, look what I did against this racist."
For PR reasons.
Yeah, it's like,
because let's be honest, all those owners that basically voted, or I don't know if they did vote, or I'm like, I haven't been keeping track of the story because I think it's fucking ridiculous. Anyways, how much publicity it gets with like all the real news going on, but they, you know, basically the owners were going to vote on if he had to sell the team or not. I think they voted on it, and of course nobody's going to vote that for him to keep the team, because if that gets out that you're the guy who did it, you look like a racist. Yeah. So the thing is that now you put pressure on these guys to do that. You're not. I mean, the thing is, you know, I don't know, man. It's just the old dude. I mean, do you realize he was recording all his conversations? That wasn't hidden. Like he knew he was recording them. The reason he was recording them was because he doesn't remember shit. Like. That already tells you something. He's a little fucked up in the head. Like he's old. Like so. Like the fact that he like said
the fact that he's already changed his mind like 19 times since it happened about selling the team or fighting the NBA or suing the NBA or just letting it. Like every week, it's a new story about him.
Did you see the interview?
He's changed his mind.
I don't know. Changed his mind. Did he?
Yeah, like a week ago, it was like, okay, he's just agreed to sell and let go, and then it was like, okay, he's gonna fight it, then it's like, he's gonna sue, and it's like every week is a new story. How he's changing his mind.
You know what I love about comedians, that they can talk about this shit. It's funny how like if you're a comedian and you're funny, it's the only time you can like. Rich Voss, for example, he's a white comedian. He was like the first white comedian on Def Jam's tour. I met him at the Funny Bone in Connecticut. Super awesome dude. He says tons of black jokes, you know, and like it's funny because if it's funny, like it's okay, you know, and that's my point. Like we talk about this shit, like it's all about intentions. Like dude, we play basketball with tons of black people, okay. The sport is mostly, you know, a lot of black people play basketball. Sure. That's you know, that's not a racist thing. That's just a fucking fact. Yeah. Like. I don't give a fuck. Like all my favorite players are black. All my, you know, a lot of our friends are black. I don't give a fuck about what skin color you are. Like it's not important to me, you know. And the cool thing is that once you get that, you break that boundary where like you have a lot of black friends and people, you know, they know obviously you're not racist. It's cool because I get to like I remember when the Donald Sterling thing happened. Next time I went to go play ball, first black friend that I saw and I went up to and talked to, I'm like, yo. Honestly, what do you think about the Donald Sterling thing? A little blown out of proportion, isn't it? And it's cool because like we can have this open dialogue. Yeah. But like the thing is, you have too many white people that are like, just trying to say what publicly is the right thing to say. Like, oh, this and that. Oh, African Americans. I had a guy Evans on my podcast who I love. He was one of my first guests. Love the guy. He has a really popular podcast. Love him, but he kept calling them African Americans, and he's from Wales. He actually played. He's an interesting dude. You might be interested in his podcast when he was on, because he played for an international team in Wales, and he's written books about coaching and shit like that. Really cool, wicked nice guy, and now he lives in New York and Brooklyn. Not Brooklyn, I don't know where the fuck, somewhere in New York in the city. And we were talking about the Donald Sterling thing, and it's like the week that it happened, he was on, and he kept calling them African Americans, and I caught myself going from calling them black people to African Americans. And I remember after the podcast, I'm like, why the fuck was I doing that? And then it was just like, I'm like, I know I'm not racist. They know I'm not racist. Yeah. They don't see anything wrong with calling them black people. They call each other black people. Why the fuck do it's like? But it's this thing where like they've convinced us.
It's like white people saying the N-word on the news. It's like, why say the N-word? Like, I forgot who was the comedian that, I think it was C.K. Lewis.
Louis C.K.?
Louis C.K., whatever. I think he was like, why do all the white news hosts always say, like, the N-word? Like, they never actually say the word nigger. They always say the N-word. And it's like, why are you saying the N-word and making me think of the word nigger and making me be a racist? Like, you say the word.
Well, that is kind of that's what I love about the Pussy Riot, because they made everybody on the news
don't
have
say
to say the
N-word and make me think of the word. Like, just say it. Just say it. You're not being a racist. You're just saying the word.
The word that they used. Yeah. And that's the thing. There's something about like white guilt, like this thing about like white. There's a lot of white people who like they still feel guilty, and then they feel like they have to like be on eggshells, like or they have to tippy toe around these things because they don't want to come off as and don't get me wrong, man, we like obviously Caucasians have done some fucked up shit in the world, but my point is that like we can still be realistic and understand that just because you're describing a word that somebody used doesn't make you a racist. There's white comedians who use the N-word, okay? And guess what? It doesn't make them a racist because it's all about intentions. I've had this conversation with plenty of black people, and they will fucking tell you, man. Like, I've had this conversation with my buddy Bert. I've had this conversation with even Devron, who puts together pickup ball. It's all about intentions. If you're saying something because you're trying to hurt somebody's feelings, that's when you draw the line, right. And if you say something just because you're speaking of the word, like if you're saying, hey, this person said the N-word, and it's okay to substitute the N-word with nigger. This person called that guy a nigger. Like you can say that's fucked up, and I mean personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. Most of my friends don't see anything wrong with that. I think when you use the word to try to hurt somebody's feelings, and in that case, any word, when you use the word faggot and you're trying to say it because you're trying to, that's fucked up. It's no different, and it's no different. Portuguese people don't really have any racial slurs. What do they call us? Pork and cheese? I mean, is that even fucking really
I have no idea.
Most people don't know shit about our culture, so they can't really make fun of us. But like even Polacks, I have a lot of Polish friends. People think, oh, if you call them a Polak, they get mad. No, I have Polish friends. They don't really give a fuck. If I call them a Polak and we're joking, like, guess what? That whole idea of Polish people being dumb, that's actually wrong, because I know a lot of really smart Polish people and they're actually amazing with numbers. Some of the most, I'm like, they all have machine shops and they're financially successful.
That's another nice way of putting them down there. They're actually really good with numbers.
They can't tie their shoes.
Polacks aren't dumb. They're actually really great with numbers.
That did sound kind of bad. You're right. But my point is that, like, they don't get offended when they know that your intentions aren't bad, aren't heinous. And I think there's something wrong with, like, the thing is, we have to, the problem with racism and all these conversations is that we can't publicly have them. We can't, or at least we can't have an honest public conversation. Yeah. Like, you see,
unless you're on a podcast.
Yeah, and then who gives a fuck? We talked about anal and whatever, which is a really important topic we'll hit to next. And next on the list after foreign policy, anal.
Anal around the world.
And so it's just one of those things where we can't have open dialogue on it. Like, you look at Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, you don't see two people actually having an open conversation about racism. You get the white person who's like, yes, the N-word is bad. We should, and you get the black person, who's politically correct. And the thing is that, like, my point is that, like, we should just have like a real conversation. We should get like, so, and that's the cool thing about having black friends. You people you can talk to about these things, and you learn the most about. Like, I learned the most about, like, what bothers them, what doesn't bother them, like what and where the line is, you know,
Yeah.
and that's important. Like too many of us, you know, we went from Afro-American to African-American. Now, like we're almost at the line where we're like black people is acceptable, but it's like for them, it's like it's white people beating around the bush, and it's just like you can call us black. It's not, you know, it's not for most of the, at least any black people out there. I
mean, like in Estonia, the word for black person is neger.
Yeah, in Portuguese is negro is it means black. Yeah.
Neger. Now that sounds like nigger, but it's our only word. Like neger means negro.
So what you're saying is Estonian people racist?
Yeah, basically.
But no, but I know what you mean.
But like our
if I said
that word that means negro, and then the other word is must, which means black, but also means dirty. So it's also kind of like you don't want to really call someone must because it's like calling them dirty and black. So it's kind of weird. We don't have any other words for it.
So yeah, no, and but that's the thing with like negro. If I say the word negro around black people who don't know I'm speaking Portuguese,
exactly,
they could be like, "Yo, did you just call me the N-word?" You know, So it's one of those things where it you know, it's a fine line, and I definitely think intentions is a big thing. I think these conversations need to be had, and they need to be they need to be in a place where people can have an open dialogue where they're not worried about being criticized, and they're not worried, and they're just being like, let's be honest, you know.
But
like,
that'll never happen, you know.
Well, I think that's why people like podcasts, because
unless it's in a podcast.
I think the same thing that attracted people to Opie and Anthony, the same thing attracted to Howard Stern, is what attracts people to podcasts.
Exactly.
It's the fact that it's like it's real people talking about real shit, and none of this like, you know,
beating around the bush.
Yeah, beating around the bush and having to stay within these guidelines that restrict you from being a real person and hear real conversations. Because then you're listening to fucking radio and you're like, dude, that's not how I sound with my friends. Like, that's not the shit that I talk about with my friends. That's not my true opinion. Like, and then you know, like, this isn't intriguing to me. Like, what's intriguing is people having real conversations. To me, that's what I loved about podcasts, and that's what made me want to start one, was the fact that I'm like, I want to do my part in one, sparking some interesting conversations and you know, hit on some interesting topics. But I think the other important thing too was the sheer real conversations about real shit and that real people could have, and that was, you know, a real conversation and not just fucking, you know, people just trying to say what they thought everybody wanted to hear.
Plus, who doesn't like drinking, smoking, and talking?
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you.
Fuck.
One of our first episodes, like our episode 4 or something like that. Like the first ones was just me and my co-host Dave. You know Dave Kranacki, and it was just us. And then I had my buddy Baltazar and Kevin on episode 4 just to switch it up, and I had them on, and they were real nervous about it. And then after they got 20 minutes and 15 minutes into talking, they were like comfortable and they were whatever. And after they were done, like, yo, that shit was mad fun. I'm like, dude, it is. Like, I get to email people that have PhDs, and I was in special ed in high school. You know, I'm like, I'm sitting down having conversations with doctors, and I was in special ed. Like, first of all, if that doesn't tell you the school system is bullshit, I don't know what does. And the other thing, it shows you that regardless what you do for a living, you can't judge somebody's opinions or somebody's intelligence based on their life choice or their occupation. You know, like, I've met people who, you know, Vietnam vets that are retired and sitting on their porch while we're doing road construction in front of their house, and they come out and we talk, and I'm like, dude, this motherfucker is one that has the most intelligent ideas and well thought out ideas and has these great opinions and stories. I'm like, he's one of the most intriguing people I've heard talking in a long time, and he's just a dude sitting on his porch who's retired. Like, so my thing was that, like, because I think that for the longest time, and I think Guy Evans, when I had him on the show, he had a word for it, like the idea that you don't think you're good enough. You know, you don't think like, okay, I could never be, you know, Dirk Nowitzki, or I could never be, because he's just, you know, you always convince yourself that you can never be that. And it's like, that's what restricts you from ever chasing it, is the fact that you just think you can never do it. I got to the point where I'm just like, dude, I enjoy talking. I enjoy, I don't enjoy talking. I enjoy conversations, because we all know people who enjoy talking and they're fucking annoying. Yeah. Those are the people who don't listen and just fucking want to talk over you. But I enjoy conversation, and I'm like, you know, at first I'm like, who the fuck's going? If you listen to my early shows, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do my best to try to get people on the show, because who fucking knows, you know, if I can get people on. I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm gonna try to email people. I don't know if anybody's gonna want to be on. Some special ed kid from Portugal who has a resume that says nothing, you know, like, you know, it's just like this fucking, you know, I do some music. I mean, what could I tell people to try to sell them to be on the show? So I'm like, what I could sell them was, hey, I want to talk about these really interesting opinions and issues. I'm a fan of your work. I think your work is important. I want to do my part in trying to help spread that information and spark that conversation. And people respected that. People liked the fact that I was passionate about that. And I think that
I could certainly relate to what you're saying right there, because with my basketball career, I didn't go to a big college. I wasn't well known, and I just fought my way up. I showed people I had talent, I could play, and I've been playing for 6 years. You know, when I first came in, my first season, the guys, all the Americans that were playing that season, none of those guys are playing right now. You know,
really?
From that first season, I don't remember any of those guys playing now. Maybe a couple of them are. I just don't know it. But most of those guys are all working. But it's just saying, like, I didn't have this big resume. I wasn't this big star. I didn't play at this big college. I was just a regular player. But I did believe in myself. I did think I was good. And I thought I could play. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. And then that's what I did.
Well, yeah.
And now I'm playing with all these guys that were big stars. And, you know, they're looking at me like, man, you're a really good player, blah, blah, blah. Where'd you play? And I'm like, nowhere.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think
it doesn't really matter, like, who you are. Like, you know, the whole credential thing it's
bullshit.
It's a lot of bullshit.
It is a lot of, because I mean, you look at it, it's no different than colleges. Like, okay, so you go to Harvard, you get a diploma. What you're really paying for is the fact that you get to say you went to Harvard. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're any smarter than anybody else.
That's true.
I mean, you're paying for the fact that it helps. It's like it's no different getting like a blue ribbon or you know, or some medal in the military. It's well, even though they actually accomplish something, I shouldn't say it's the same as that. But you know, but my point is, like, it's like having this trophy that you get to say, hey, you know, I'm a little bit more important than everybody else. But are you? Like, it really doesn't say much. I mean, my thing about intelligence, it's just like, I mean, I know plenty of people who did better in school than me, way better in school than me. And you sit down and I'm like, okay, this is how you base your intelligence. Sit down and have a conversation with somebody. Usually in 10, 15 minutes, you usually have a good idea of, is this a well-spoken person?
That's
not even well-spoken.
racist, by the way.
That had nothing to do with race.
So racist.
I didn't say. I didn't know. I was about.
It was racist.
And you know, you sit down with somebody who's black, and I'm kidding. And but those Asians, damn, learn to drive. I'm kidding. I just want to piss off all my fans. Actually, I get a lot of my fans. My music project got really popular in the Middle East. I had like a lot of Iraqi fans and shit like that. I would see downloads from Baghdad, fuck this wine, Baghdad, and like all these Middle Egypt and stuff like that. And then a lot of them, when I started the podcast, started listening to my podcast, and I get a lot of people from like all over the world to listen, and a lot of people from the Middle East. And so you know, I'm not racist. I love you guys. Keep downloading, but support the show. And but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, usually talking to somebody, you can kind of have a good idea if they're intelligent or not. And then when I'm not even trying to toot my own horn, but I've had plenty of people say, "Oh, you're really well read," or what college did you go to? You know, and I know they're asking because I probably said something that seemed interesting. Mm-hmm. But you know, the people I've gotten this information from, it's like that quote, like, it's smart. Oh, dude, trying to fucking quote somebody after drinking is dangerous. But it's like that quote. The difference between a smart person and a dumb person is a smart person hides his sources. Yeah. So it's the idea that you just repeat good ideas, but you don't tell people that it was somebody else's idea, mm-hmm. you know? And it's just like, you know, that's all intelligence is. It's like, you can just take in good information. What makes somebody intelligent is that there's people who can memorize information. And then there's people who's not just memorizing, but they're saying that's really interesting. And I know why, or for some reason it's interesting. And then you mold it with some other really good, interesting information. And then you create your own information, you know, and,
right.
and it's your ability to hear. Somebody intelligent isn't somebody who just memorizes one good opinion, but has the ability to listen to many opinions and decide which one's the best opinion. And
yeah, it's kind of, I don't know why, but I just thought of Bruce Lee when you started saying all that shit. It's like how he took all these different martial arts.
He was the first one to do that,
and just kind of mold them into what worked. He kind of basically just took everything what worked for him, what didn't, he left it alone, and then made his own thing.
But I've heard
you know?
people say that Bruce Lee basically came up with MMA because
basically, yeah.
because
what he did was he learned this, he learned that, he learned a bunch of shit. I don't know all the fucking names, and what he did, he just took what worked for him, and then just molded that into his own style,
and it became a fucking legend because of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're right. Instead of saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be really good at this one thing," he was intelligent enough or had creativity enough to say, "Hey, I'm gonna take all these things I like and then create and take all the pros of everything and then create my own thing."
Yeah, because you can't create one thing that's just going to be good for everyone. Like everybody's different,
Yeah. Well, that's that. But I think his thing was the fact that I think people get brainwashed. Like dude, for the longest time, the different types of martial arts, you meet somebody in whatever martial arts they do, and we know some people who are like that who will say, "My martial arts is the best. It came from this guy and it came from that guy. He's the best at da. And it's like, dude, that's all bullshit. Like,
well, it could be true. It could be the best for them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best for you.
Yeah, but the other thing too is the fact that you won't even give other stuff a try because you're brainwashed into believing that this it's like, you ever see that video of that guy he was a master, and then he put a thing out there where he's like, "I will fight any MMA guy for and give you $1,000 or $10,000 or whatever," and this guy fights this like rookie MMA guy. He looked like an okay fighter. I don't know how good he was, but this guy was a master, and they showed videos of him, and he was just like, his students were so afraid of him that every time he touched a student to like flip him, they would just jump. It looked like fucking WWE.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then all of a sudden, he's getting in this fight with this MMA guy, and he just gets his ass kicked. This guy's beating the shit out, and it's just like, and then I could just imagine.
He like couldn't believe it either. He was like, he's like touching his face, like, did I get hit?
He's like,
he's looking around at his students like, is this happening? Is this real?
Well, you know what it is when you're stuck in that when you have that many people who are hyping you up all the time, day in and day out, it's going to be hard. It's your reality, but it's not reality. Like, it's not. Everybody else has you've convinced them, and then they're falling for that trick.
It's like
is
a
almost
cult.
helps.
It's
like a cult. Yeah, very very similar. And then you end up, just becoming, you almost believe your own bullshit more because all these other people also believe it, So it's like a pathological liar. You keep lying enough, eventually you start believing your own shit. And it's so similar. I have no idea what the fuck the point of this story was.
Going back to Bruce Lee, it was
right.
like, and he got criticized a lot for that, because he wasn't really,
because at that time it was all about being traditional and only doing one thing. You didn't mix things.
That's the whole thing with tradition. It's like
bullshit. I had this conversation with James Evan Pilato, a guest, and we were talking about tradition, and we were talking. I just recently I told my girlfriend that I want to do anal. I mean, I was kidding.
Look out!
I'm kidding. Look out! I didn't say I was going to publicly do it, and it was a joke. You know how girls are. They let you try it, and then they're like, no. That's good. I got you locked down. I ain't trying anything. Now it's the boring shit. We're doing the boring shit. I got you now. I got you by the balls. I don't have to do all that crazy shit that I convinced you I liked. But fuck, dude, that got me off track again. Oh, James Evan Pilato. We were talking about tradition. I just told my girlfriend recently that I'm gonna stop saying "God bless you" every time she sneezes. Because if I don't say it, she looks at me like, "Really, it'd be polite if you said." I'm like, bitch, do you know where that came from? I didn't call her a bitch, but
what are you gonna say? Bless you? You're gonna be God?
No, the thing is, like, it came from the fact that they thought when you sneezed, demons were going in you. That's where it came from. How ridiculous is that tradition? So how come when you fart?
That is a pretty
okay. So if you fart or burp, nobody says shit. But if you sneeze, all of a sudden, because nobody believed that demons could go up your ass when you fart. But if they did, you would probably be saying "God bless you" now when somebody farted. And how ridiculous does that sound?
So.
So my point is, like, traditions. Like, traditions are good when it's like, okay, having family dinners is a tradition, okay? But, like, to do things strictly just because it's tradition is stupid. Like, you should do something because you think it's a good thing and then make it a tradition, But don't do things just because it's tradition. It's like circumcision. We talked about this before. It's fucking stupid. It's mutilation, okay? Like, you're basically cutting skin off a poor little kid's dick because of the fact that it's tradition.
It's got to be some kind of trauma involved with that with a child, just getting his penis cut off at that early age.
Yeah, I mean, and like in some cultures, if it bleeds, the priest has to like suck the blood with his mouth. you know? And I mean, that's
insane.
crazy, you know? So you look at it, traditions like that are
How the fuck did that come into play? Like,
I'm sure there's some
how
like,
the fuck did that, like,
well, you know that
we're just going to have to suck the blood. Like, who invented that?
yeah, but
When
the thing
that
is,
start?
but
Like,
that's the thing,
Jesus.
like, a lot of these things, these old traditions were around when people were saying God bless you because they thought a demon jumped in you, you know? So, like, these things, the logic behind them are fucking insane, you know? And like, you look at circumcision, they wanted to make the dick less sensitive because they wanted kids not to masturbate. And Rogan once talked about this. What did he say? He's like, yeah, there's a war against masturbation. And he's like, guess what? Masturbation won. Because nobody stopped. But you know, it's just one of those things where it's just like, when you really look back at the roots of these things, like you look at lipstick, for example. Lipstick came from back in the day, like the first prostitutions would put lipstick to let basically the Johns know that they did oral sex, and that's what it was about. Now the people do it, don't even know why they do it. Look at fucking the high heels. I love high heels on women, but fuck, that is an awful tradition to keep alive for women. You're sticking your feet in this little shoe and it hurts, and you have to learn to walk with this giant fucking peg on the back of your thing, and everybody's expect you to wear them, and if you don't, then then like, oh, why are you wearing flats? You know, it's like, it's like, it's such a stupid tradition when you think of, you're like, shoes are supposed to be to make your feet comfortable. You're purposely not wearing sneakers, which are designed to make walking comfortable, and you're putting your feet in like a torture weapon. You know, it's like a torture technique for your feet. You know, it's like there's waterboarding, and then there's like high heels. Like, it's torture for your feet. You know what I mean? Like, it's like
some girls love it too. Like,
yeah,
they like that shit.
But I wonder how much of it is because of like society can convince you of anything. Like, if everybody tells you this is normal,
that too.
then it becomes normal. You know,
Yeah.
it's you know, and culture will do that. You know, and high heels, dude. Like I said, like, and I don't know if it's a turn on because culturally, like, we were told, like,
I mean, how many times do you look at a girl and look at her high heels like, oh shit?
No, but it doesn't.
I don't think I've ever done that.
But it makes her legs
like,
look.
Oh,
you know what it is?
wow.
I think for dudes, it's the fact that you think high heels, you think strippers. Like, for me, like, you think strippers.
That's the first thing that pops in my mind.
And you think really high heels, you think this girl's a good time, you know, and allegedly a good time because I'm basically almost a married man. So
I think her name's Virginia. High heels.
Virginia's the girl.
Super high.
Yeah, did I tell you about my pot cookie experience? I might have or might have not allegedly got a pot cookie from my in-laws.
A pot cookie?
Yes. So have you ever done pot cookies?
No.
Okay, it's not like smoking weed. It's completely different. When you orally eat it, it's a psychedelic effect. So I'm watching Wolf of Wall Street, right? And I remember I have this pot cookie. Now, I've never done pot cookie. I haven't even smoked weed since I was like 16. But I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, I had somebody had one. And I'm like, yeah, I'm intrigued because I hear that it's like the psychedelic. I've never done acid or shrooms or anything. It'd be cool to try it, you know. Dude, fucked me up. Like, I eat a little bit of it, right? And I give a little bit to my girl, and I'm like, oh, you feeling anything? She's like, no. And I'm like, me either, man. Like, half an hour goes by, 45 minutes go by. Also, I'm like, fuck this. Eat the whole cookie, right? Dude, in 15 minutes, I'm tripping balls. And I'm like, I tell my girl, I'm like, yo, you feeling anything? And she's like, no, why? And I'm like, no reason. She's like, oh, okay. 10 minutes later, I'm like, you feeling it? Because I'm like, yo, is she experiencing what I'm experiencing? She didn't pick up on the fact that the reason why I kept asking her was because I was tripping my balls off. Dude, all of a sudden, like, I finished watching Wolf of Wall Street. All of a sudden, the Indiana Heat game's on, right? I wanted to watch the end of that. Couldn't watch it. Too much shit going on. My brain was like confused. I'm paying attention to some dude eating popcorn, like not even paying attention to the game. Like all I can hear is the squeaking of the sneakers. I'm like paranoid as fuck. And I'm like, what? Dude, I gotta get this shit to stop. I'm like, how do I do this? I close my eyes. I'm seeing shit. I open my eyes. I'm seeing shit. It was like the worst experience ever. I don't know how anybody enjoys it. I know people say that like, oh, because my whole thing was like, as you get older, like when you're young, you do drugs because you want to get fucked up. But when you're older, it's like you always hear about these like DMT and ayahuasca, and you hear about like these very self-reflective experiences. Yeah. Like it helps you because we're like these machines where we're creatures of habit. We're stuck in this habit, and you notice like even with you traveling, like there's something about like when you're at the same place all the time. If you're waking up in the same bed, doing the same routine every day, your thinking doesn't change very much. But the second you get out of that comfort zone and you travel, all of a sudden you're seeing different things and you're hearing different things. You're having different conversations, meeting different people. All of a sudden it like sparks other ideas and thinking, doesn't it? And
it's funny. I'll tell you tell you a funny story because you said
We got to make this quick because we got to meet up with the other homies.
Okay, I'll finish with this my Wolf of Wall Street story. So I'm at the hotel. This is during season. We got a game the next day. Now I slept really late this day, and I'm like, fuck, I got to get to bed. How am I going to get to bed? Because when you play overseas, you're always sleeping late unless you have practice early, and you're up all day, and then you're up all night, and it's just crazy. So I got a game the next day, and I'm like, fuck, I really want to get a good night's sleep. So we have this one player on our team who's American. I won't say his name, but he's kind of crazy. Like, he's legit crazy, like certified. And he has to like take pills to like not be crazy.
There's some people that pills are necessary for it.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm telling him like, man, we're on our way to lunch, and he's like, I'm telling him like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get to sleep. And he's like, oh, I got some pills for you. I'm like, you got some sleeping pills? He's like, yeah, I got some real strong stuff. I'm like, My other buddy's looking at me like, well, I wouldn't take that. So anyways, later on, fast forward to the nighttime, I'm like sitting there in bed and I can't go to sleep. I'm like, there's no way. So I go down the hallway. We live in the same hotel, all the Americans, and I knock on his door. I'm like, let me get one of those sleeping pills. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I can't fall asleep. It's not happening. So he gives me one. He's like, you want one or two? I'm like, fucking give me two. So I take two of these, pop them in, boom. Sitting there in bed, 20 minutes goes by, 30 minutes goes by, nothing. I'm like, fucking pills. They didn't do shit. I'm like, maybe I'm just gonna order a pizza. Call the pizza place down the street. Like, yeah, let me get a large pepperoni on my way. Maybe it'll help me go to sleep if I eat. So I grab my keys. It's about a I don't know, 500 foot down the street.
Wait, 500 foot, and you're driving?
Yeah, I'm just like, fuck walking. This is during the winter, so it's kind of cold. So I get to the elevator because we live on top of the hotel. I get to the elevator. All of a sudden, my knees start shaking. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? Like, my knees just start shaking. Like, I had no control of my legs. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I get back out of the elevator before it closes. I go back to my room. And all of a sudden, I'm fine. I'm like, what the hell was that? Then I'm thinking like, oh shit, my pizza's ready. I got to go get that shit. So I'm like, all right, let me go back. I go back in the elevator. I get in, hit one, go down. I take one step out the elevator. And all of a sudden, my knees start shaking again. I'm like, holy shit. So now I'm in the lobby. The guy's there at the desk working. And I'm like, all right, let me just get to the car, So I'm like wobbling trying to get to the car. I make it to the car, which is right outside the hotel. And I just get in the car and sit. And I'm like fucked up. Like I could barely control my body. My mind's kind of going all over the place. I just feel fucked up. Like I feel like I'm drunk. I'm like no control over my body. Can't really move myself correctly. So I'm like, there's no way I can drive. Because all I kept thinking was like the Wolf of Wall Street scene when he drove the Ferrari or the Lamborghini when he fucked it up.
And he didn't remember fucking it up.
Yeah. So I was like, that's gonna happen to me. And you know how he took those pills and they didn't kick in until a little later. So that's what kind of happened to me. So then I'm like, all right, let me just sit here for like 20 minutes, go back upstairs, go to sleep. So I sit there for a while. It's freezing. I'm like, all right, let me try to make my way back here. So I get up out of the car, I'm walking in front of the hotel. All of a sudden I just drop. Boom. Keys, my phone, everything flies. I just collapse instantly into a dream. And then like, I don't know how much time went by, but I remember just waking up like, holy shit, I'm on the floor in front of my hotel.
Really?
Like just passed out. Yeah. And then I grab my stuff. I'm like looking on the floor. I see my stuff all scattered. I grab it, put it in my pocket. I get up. I'm wobbling. I get to the front doors. There's like a double door. I get past the first. I go to open the second. I drop again. Boom. Instantly back into a dream.
What?
Next thing I remember is like the clerk is standing in front of me like, are you okay? And I look at him and I'm just like, help me. He grabs me, picks me up. I get up. He's like, well, you need some help? I'm like, no. Where's the elevator? He's like, it's right here. And I just hop in, go all the way up, go in my room, make it to the bed, go to sleep. That was that. Next day at the game, I felt like I had a spider crawling on my head the whole game. I just keep scratching my head, like I was like fucking. Like,
is there video?
It was
of
like
this?
insane. Yeah, there probably is. And I'm just like, I always felt like something was touching me or something was coming down my back, or it was just weird. Like my mind was all fucked up from these fucking sleeping pills, man. And I was just like, and this guy takes these things every day. And I'm just like, how the fuck do you do this?
This is the crazy dude.
Yeah, this is the crazy guy. So imagine how crazy he is.
That's his normal feeling.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I only feel a couple spiders on me. This is a normal day.
That's my Wolf of Wall Street story right there.
Guys, we gotta get going. We got Nato. We're gonna go meet up with some friends and have some drinks and a bite to eat and watch some of the game. Maybe if we're done with all that shit, we'll come back and record some more. Yeah. And thanks for listening. We would have had like a 2-hour podcast. Now I think we have like an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is. But either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed the stories. We got a lot more coming. Hopefully, if we can get back in some decent shape to record. If not, then maybe next time he's in town. He's leaving for a little bit, traveling the East Coast a little bit, and then he's coming back to this area, the Western Mass area, and maybe we'll record another one then. So thanks again for listening, guys. I guess we'll see you on the next one. I got plenty of awesome guests coming up, so definitely keep a lookout for the next couple shows. Really interesting guests, but I'm not sure which ones are coming first and who exactly is definitely scheduled. So don't want to put out any names yet, quite yet. But I got some musicians, some comedians, and switching it up from just not just filmmakers and alternative media people. Even though I love having them on, I just want to spark some different conversations and show you some of the music and comedians I'm into and have them on. So thanks again, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.